immigration. What are you going to be doing on immigration to help, to bring a faith lens to that, to make that an issue that candidates really need to respond to?
I think that what we have done and what we continue to do is make the case that most religious leaders in this country are asking for immigration reform. Also, 2/3 of the country want comprehensive, common sense immigration reform. So the country's in many ways ahead of its leaders, and the religious leaders are ahead of the country. So it's making the case that this is what everybody wants, right? The second thing is there's been some anecdotal conversations about Latinos staying home because of the lack of progress and this kind of rhetoric or playing ping pong and the lack of political will by both parties to move forward on immigration reform, right? So when one candidate talked about vetoing the DREAM Act and all of that, there was a lot of pushback, but then others were like, but nothing has moved, since 2008. So I think that what we're trying to do is a lot of these young Latino evangelical voters, they're citizens, and they're related to some of these people who are going to be deported or not getting access to an earned path to citizenship. So it's creating that pressure to say the future of the next 4 to 5 elections can be largely Hispanic. It is not in the best interest of any candidate or any party to alienate this potential ally, whether it's on the right or on the left. And a lot of these young Latinos are coming of age. So in this coming of age issue and in this voter registration, we're saying is immigration reform has to be on the top of the agenda. So I think it's the demographic argument in addition to the religious argument.
And your campaign launched in Florida, the next primaries in Florida, and there's a big Latino population in Florida, and we've seen some really anti-immigrant, anti-immigration rhetoric on the parts of the candidates, some candidates, even as they're now doing bilingual ads. So how do you think that's going to play out? Trying to attract the vote and to one community and then trying to be tough to another community.
I think people are going to call them on it. Jorge Ramos, which is probably the most famous spokesperson for Latinos in the news, he said, look, we need a consistent message. It's not enough to speak to us in Spanish. We understand English too, and we read the English newspapers. It's not, un prima uno para español, which is to say we want a consistent message for earned path to citizenship that has families, the unification of families at the top of the agenda. This is I think has broad appeal across political lines. I think that trying to raise the rhetoric in a way, it's just not going to fly in Florida. And actually some leaders in both parties have said we endorse candidates, but on immigration reform we're not with them, and they need to take issue with that. I mean, they've said that publicly. So it's going to be very interesting. I will say that after we launched our campaign, many candidates said, can we speak to your clergy? Can you organize a meeting and a conversation? I said, well, you can speak to us, and you can also listen to us. Immigration reform is a watershed moment for Hispanics in general. But Hispanic evangelicals have really come of age around this issue.